Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Wait, take.
Throw. End zone. Caught. Terrence Williams. Touchdown, Cowboys. Tony Romo.
They go for the shotgun. Roger looks left, fires it out there, caught by Tony Hill. Touchdown, Cowboys!
15 to the 10, he'll score. Emmitt Smith dances to the end zone. The Cowboys have taken a 2-score lead.
Play fake to throw it out of the end zone.
Going way down the field for Michael Irvin, bumping and grinding at the 5. Oh, he's got it. Touchdown, Cowboys.
Over the middle, caught by Witten, who loses his helmet but still keeps going. A penalty. All the pressure on the left side. He drops the ball, throws, caught, Witten. Touchdown.
Big opening for Tony Dorsett. Look out, he's got great speed.
99 yards and a half.
Dorsett down the sideline. Stays in bounds.
Can you believe that?
And short because they're 99 yards.
Prescott able to get out of the end zone and now airs it out for Lamb. He's got it. He's gone. When he gets there, it's a touchdown, Cowboys. On top.
You want to know what an all-pro looks like? Watch Michael Irvin here. He'll battle you all the way down the field.
Motion on first down, Aikman. Harper. Was that beautiful? Touchdown, Dallas. Mr. Men on the rush. Pass is caught. Deflection. Touchdown. Cowboys win. Amari Cooper.
Throws it down the field. It's caught at the 10. And this game is over. The Cowboys win it. C.D. Lamb.
But no. But you understand, we do have one game left to play. Hey, fantastic. Every single one of you. I mean, I'm not just talking about these last 60 minutes. I'm talking about the quarterback schools, the mini camp, the off-season, the training camp, down in Austin when it was hot and you were tired, the whole bit. Everybody, you did one hell of a job. And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
Week 2 of the NFL season, the Cowboys are 1-0, so that's good news. Our mics don't work, but the Cowboys are 1-0 heading into week 2. This is a New Orleans Saints preview, but first, Cowboy Reg, how are we feeling tonight on a Friday night?
Good. Ready, excited for the weekend. And the more preview shows I listen to and the more I study, the more concerned I am about this Saints football team, which I know we're going to talk about, but man, it's not a bye week. Let's put it that way.
No, definitely not. This is a pretty decent Saints team. We're definitely going to get into it, but preseason, this is a game you look at just because of all the tough games that are in the front half of the schedule. You just kind of say, you know what, the Cowboys are going to win this game, and most people are still picking the Cowboys to win this game, but it's gonna be tough, man. I'm living down here in South Mississippi, Saints country. We dealt with a tropical storm this week. That's why we're recording on Friday instead of Tuesday night. But everything's good. But yeah, a lot of Saints fans down here, and I'm seeing tons of Saints gear around town. Because like I said, we're only an hour or so from New Orleans, so people are fired up. They almost dropped a 50 burger last week on Carolina, so they're feeling good, man. So hey, you better watch out for them Saints. Seth Cowboys is 42-7 Saints. Yeah, I don't know about that. I want to go that far.
He's using that reverse psychology. See, he's a Cowboys fan, so he's going to go the other way. Like we pick every time we pick ourselves to win, 42-7, we lose. So we're going to pick the Saints, therefore we win. So yeah, I see what you're doing, Seth.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, I always love a good reverse psychology there. I would hope it. If it's a 42-7 game, that would be scary. And the Saints are, they would be up to something in New Orleans if they win this game 42-7. Because, like I said, they're coming off a 47-10 win over the Carolina Panthers, which we know we're going to break it down. The Carolina Panthers are a bad football team, but anytime you score 47 points in the NFL, that's pretty damn impressive. Yusuf has a prediction for us. 35-17, good guys. Go Cowboys. Yusuf was right last week.
Nailed it. He nailed it.
Very close. I don't know. Maybe Yusuf can tell us his exact prediction for the Browns game, but I know he was close. So, we both picked the Cowboys to win last week, but not in the matter that they did. So, an
I think
impressive.
Yusuf, I think he said 34-17, end up 33-17, but we'll see if he
Okay.
tells us. But he called it, man.
35-17. That would be wonderful. 5 touchdowns for the Cowboys. I'd love to see it. But hey, where to start the show today? I would like to ask you, Cowboy Reg, what was the biggest from this week, digesting the game from last week? What was the biggest overreaction for the Cowboys win over Cleveland? This can be either in the media or from the Cowboys, whatever. And your biggest underreaction to what happened that's not being talked about. This is a segment I want to start every show with now as we go week by week. So I'm just kind of springing it on
Yeah.
you, but
No, I
overreaction,
like it.
underreaction. If you
Easy,
want me to go
easy.
first, I can, but let's see if you got it.
Oh, no, I mean, this is easy. Overreaction is everyone online saying Deshaun sucks, the Browns suck, same old Browns, they suck,
Yeah.
not a big deal. Yip diddy do, Cowboys, you beat the Browns. Yeah, right. Like no one knew that was coming. Well, guess what? No one knew that was coming. Vegas had the Browns favored, and everyone online was saying before the game, we had the worst offseason in the league. This is a total catastrophe. It's going to be a disaster. They're going to look horrible. They lost everybody. They can't play, and they're not favored. They're going on the road and they're playing a playoff team, and Deshaun's healthy, and they're in trouble. So then we win, and the overreaction is Deshaun sucks. The
Right.
underreaction is we won. We went on the road. We beat a playoff team, an AFC playoff team, because we all know the AFC is stronger than NFC. We can see that with the recent Super Bowls. So, we go on the road, we beat an AFC playoff team, the first game of the year, and hey, the underreaction is no big deal. I mean, it's a big deal, but I'll cap all that and let you go with it's only a big deal if you beat the Saints the following week. Otherwise, it's meaningless.
Wow. Yeah. You stole mine, of course. We're always kind of somehow on the same page. We do not discuss this pre-show. But yeah,
Oh,
and maybe it's just that obvious, but to us Cowboys fans, but the overreaction is, the Browns suck. They're gonna go, according to most people out there, they're looking at another losing season and they won't make the playoffs and they're a horrible team, even though before this season, everyone was talking about how this is going to be such a tough test for Dallas. Cleveland's coming in so well. Deshaun's back. And I don't even think it's so much Deshaun Watson. Like, I think this is still, regardless of the issues with Deshaun Watson, like, how are you going to blame the guy completely for the performance last week when he was under fire the whole game? The Cowboys were in the backfield constantly. I mean, their pass rush was relentless, and the offense did what they had to in the first half. He had a punt return for a touchdown. So at all phases of the ball, the Cowboys just won it. And to me, I thought, maybe I'm biased, but to me, it was a more impressive Cowboys performance than it was like a disappointing performance by the Browns. I mean, yeah, their offense didn't look great, but at the same time, their defense still held their own. And a very talented. It's one of the best defenses in the NFL overall. So I mean, I was surprised by that. You know how the media spins things, but like I still think it's a very quality win. The Browns have a tough test next week. They go into Jacksonville, but I do still think this is a good Browns team and a team that should make the playoffs. I don't think they win the AFC North. I don't think anyone thought they were going to win the AFC North, but I mean, other teams, look at the Bengals, how bad they looked in week one. So I still think the Browns are okay, and I still think they're a playoff team. So that was definitely the biggest overreaction. I guess if I were to pick a different overreaction, it would be all the hate on Tom Brady. I don't think it was that bad of a job. I thought he did okay, but everyone seemed to hate Tom Brady's commentating for that game. That was a big overreaction. Underreaction, I don't see enough people talking about would be how well the Cowboys rookies performed, and I'm going
yeah.
to rope Overshown into that because that was his first NFL game, even though he is on his second year. He played fantastic. Tyler Guyton held his own against the Defensive Player of the Year. Wasn't perfect by any means, but he held his own. Cooper Beebe did a great job at center as a rookie, and Kalen Carson. No one's talking about Kalen Carson other than Cowboys circles. He did a fantastic job, and he was matched up with Amari Cooper for. I have the exact number here. Let me find it.
Yeah, he was physical too, which I pointed out on our
Yeah,
post-game show. He was physical, which I
for
love in
sure.
a corner.
So Kalen Carson versus Amari Cooper went 2 catches allowed for 16 yards and 2 pass deflections. So that's pretty damn good for a rookie, and not, this is a 5th round rookie. So, that's a big performance. Was he 5th or 6th round? I always get that mixed up. I
I
think on
think
the last show I said 7th.
I, I mean, he's so good. You want to say 5th, right? But I leave those stats to you.
Yeah, I am the stat guy, so I need to know this. He was a 5th rounder, so I was right. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, really impressive performance. And the offensive line, I think, is underrated. What a performance, man! I mean, you held your own. You led the team down to 2 touchdown drives, and that's what it took. And a lot of people didn't think they could do that, and that's why I think they're going to lose this game. So we got a few comments in here. Underrated is that the defense y'all finally have linebackers. Hell yeah, we do, man. That linebacker room looked fantastic. That was another point that's not being talked about enough. Overshown, fantastic. Eric Kendricks, fantastic. Just speed and rushing to the ball. Really good job. Really good performance by the linebackers. Blitz Sports Media says, "What's up, boys? How's it going, Blitz Sports?" Do you guys think, also from Blitz Sports Media, do you guys think Rico Dowell takes over the backfield eventually? So, kind of getting ahead of ourselves here, but that was going to be one of my keys to the game. Is we need to get Rico going a little more. He kind of had a quiet performance in Cleveland last week. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think Zeke looked pretty good. What do you think, Cowboy Reg?
I think that's going to be based on matchups, and I think and we'll get into that New Orleans game. They might be missing 2, or maybe that's 2 offensive linemen, but
No, so there's some defensive linemen that are
okay.
going to be.
So I think you're going to see Rico. I think he's a
Questionable.
more explosive back, and he's the home run hitter. And I think last week against the Browns, as strong as their defensive line is, you had to go power. So you went Zeke down the middle. And, when they got down into the, red zone, Zeke was a factor. That's where he was getting those tough yards, and he got a touchdown. But this week, I think you're going to see more Rico. I think Rico gets 60% and Zeke gets 40, but I could be wrong. What I like about it is we don't know, and the opposition doesn't know. And that's a great thing about running back by committee is how are we going to play this? Are we looking for the home run or are we looking for the power? I think we got both. So I'm predicting Rico gets more carries this week. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I agree with that. And yeah, Rico went 8 for 26 last week, so not a great. He did have a 10-yard run, but I also think that Zeke played a lot because of, like we said, they needed that extra pass blocker in there for that, elite
And he did a
pass
good
rush that
job.
Cleveland had. So yeah, and he did a good job with that. So putting him out there, and he's definitely stronger in Rico in that role. But maybe with a team like New Orleans that doesn't have the threat of like Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year, maybe we'll see Rico a little more. This is a team that can be exploited in the run game based off the stats from last year. So something to look forward to this week. Definitely circling Rico as a guy to watch out for this week to either have a big game, or if he has a big game, then we're happy. If he doesn't have a big game, I'm gonna start to be a little concerned with the production of
Well,
Rico Dowell.
then you're gonna see that other guy that just signed. If Rico doesn't get
Dalvin Cook will,
yep.
That's the other thing. Dalvin Cook's sitting there, and they only gave the ball once to Deuce Vaughn last week for 4 yards. So I think he's the easy guy to say, to drop for
I don't know,
Dalvin
man,
Cook, but we
because
will see.
special teams.
Yeah,
Remember, it's special.
right.
He plays special teams. So, with this new kickoff, correct me if I'm wrong. I think he was back there with Turpin, or no? They have 2 guys deep, and I want to say one of them was Deuce. The other, I mean, he's the backup punt returner. He's a backup kick returner. He plays special teams, and those other guys don't. And that's why I don't see all 3 of those guys without Deuce. I see 2 with Deuce every week. That's just my guess because of special teams, not because of talent. I don't necessarily want to see Deuce getting 10 carries a game, but he does do more than that with the special teams. So I think he's going to get into the lineup more than the 3 of them will be at any time.
Yeah, we should we will see. This is going to be a running back room that looks different week to week, and we're only in week one. Zeke got the majority of the carries in week one, but I think that will change. I think we'll see Rico getting the majority, maybe of the runs in week two. But moving right along here. So, like I said, week two, the Cowboys are 1-0. The New Orleans Saints are 1-0, and the Saints are marching into Dallas in week two at AT&T Stadium. We got a noon kickoff. Tom Brady will be back again. This game is on Fox. So pretty exciting stuff. The Dallas is 18-10 all time against the New Orleans Saints. They first played back in 1967 was their first game. The Cowboys won that game. They actually used to be in the same division. They used to be in the Continental Division. So that's something I did not know.
That's
But
cool.
the little history lesson there. So yeah, like I said, the Saints are coming into Dallas. They're coached by Dennis Allen. This is his, I believe, second year with the Saints. He was back with him previously. Defensive-minded coach. He's coached for the Raiders, Saints, Falcons, and Broncos. Last year, the Saints went 9-8. They missed the playoffs. Just kind of an average, I would say, a very average team last year. Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the ones that took the NFC South, pretty soft division, and the Saints weren't able to squeak in the playoffs.
Wait.
But they
You're
didn't.
saying that's a soft division, but the division winner there beat the great Philadelphia Eagles, the elite Jalen Hurts, right? So they must be really, really good. Like Tampa must be favored to win the Super Bowl if they beat the Eagles, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would think.
I mean, everybody has them 1 or 2 in their power rankings all of a sudden. So, hey, the Baker, we know he bakes, but he must be NFC Championship bound, right? If he torched the Eagles, he must be that good.
Yeah, I mean, you would think, man. I mean, a lot of hype around Philadelphia. I was gonna bring up the power rankings. I think the Cowboys moved up to somewhere around maybe 8th.
Yeah, that's a lot
It
of
might
people
not
have
be that
between
high.
6 and 8, and a lot of them are showing them a high.
7.
Brady has them at
They were
4.
preseason. They were 11. ESPN has the Dallas Cowboys at 7, but they're the 4th highest ranked team in the NFC. So the Niners, Eagles, and Lions are all ranked ahead of Dallas. So
Keep them
I
that
mean,
way.
who cares? I like to be a
Keep
little
them that
slept
way.
on, so I don't mind
Keep them
that.
that way. I'm good with
They
it.
don't matter, but they did bump up from 11 to 7, so that was as they should after getting a big win in week one. But yeah, the New Orleans Saints 9-8 last year, missed the playoffs. Some of the stats here, they were 9th in the NFL in points scored in 2023. So top 10 in offense when it comes to points scored, 14th in total yards, 21st in the NFL in rushing yards, and 11th in passing yards last year in 2023, which is interesting. I actually went to a Saints game last year in New Orleans. Like I said, I live so close and I got free tickets, and they were booing Derek Carr every time he came on the field, and they were switching him out with Taysom Hill. And talking to the Saints fans, they wanted Taysom Hill to start. And like as I'm doing research from the show, it's like they paid Derek Carr to come in here on a pretty decent sized contract. And he really didn't have that terrible of a year. He missed one game last year. He did have some suffer through some injuries, but he didn't play terribly last year, stats wise. And I mean, 9-8, that's not a terrible year, but they just weren't happy with Derek Carr. And then defensively, on the defense side of the ball, pretty solid defense, I would say. 8th in points allowed overall in 2023, 13th in yards allowed, 4th in turnovers, which is really damn good, and 10th in passing yards allowed. So the only thing there, 25th in rushing yards allowed. So they can be exploited a little bit defensively, but really not that bad of a statistical year last year. It seemed like they just lost a lot of close games, but at the end of the day, 9-8 isn't bad. It just most years, that could get you in the playoffs, but unfortunately for them, not last year. So, Cowboy Reg, what do you know about the Saints team kind of going in before we really break things down and kind of some of the keys to beat the Saints?
Yeah, I think it's their defense we have to be concerned with, and I don't want Dak to be put in a situation where he has to sling it all over the field. They need to, and you're probably getting sick of me saying this. We got to establish the run, and we know that we're probably going to have the advantage when they have the ball. I think we can create turnovers. I think we're going to get sacks. I think Derek Carr is going to be under duress. I think Parsons and Lawrence are going to be coming after him. We know what Overshown can do. So I'm not worried at all when the Saints have the ball. The only thing I'm worried about is us turning the ball over, Dak getting rushed and throwing a ball that he shouldn't throw. You know, you look at what Tua did last night, and prayers up for Tua. I hope he's going to be okay. But he was throwing balls that he shouldn't have thrown, and I've always said, him and Dak kind of remind me of each other a lot. Their playing styles, and if they would just not throw that ball, and occasionally you might have to take a sack. We know you can run if you get outside the pocket. I know you don't want to run anymore, but I'm concerned with the defensive side for the Saints, them creating turnovers and getting to Dak. And our offensive line, as good as they were, they've got to be that good again or better. They've got to get better every week, because there was some pressures that were on Dak last week, and there might be more this week. So we got to run the ball, we got to control the clock and play our defense, get up a couple scores, and then run the ball. I don't expect a big win here. I expect maybe a little bit ugly, but they win. And we'll talk about those predictions later. But yeah, the Saints defense, that's what scares me.
We got a few comments in here during that, but yeah, I agree. So let's get in. You're kind of already getting into it, so let's just go ahead and get into it. All we can look at what they did last season, but obviously it is a pretty similar team. I would say that definitely the core is very similar, much like the Cowboys. Not really any big off-season moves, and we actually talked about the Saints preseason as another team that had pretty much maxed out the salary cap, so they weren't really able to bring anyone in worth noting. But yeah, last week, they get a 47-10 win over the Carolina Panthers. So, I watched the replay of that game, which is great. If you have NFL Sunday Ticket, they have a condensed version of the game. They're about 40-ish minutes long. So you actually can see every single play, but they take everything else out commercial free. So it's really nice. Just putting a quick plug in for that. But I really didn't have to watch the second half because the game was over. They were up 30-3 at halftime. So, I mean, that game was over. They started out hot. They went down the field and scored. And then Bryce Young's first throw of the game, he throws an interception. And the Saints were just all over him, man. They just dominated this game. So looking at this game from the outside is like all we have to go off of is last week. And they just looked perfect because they just completely dominated the Carolina Panthers. So that's what's kind of making this game scary. The only, the caveat there is the Panthers were the worst team in the NFL last year, and it looks like they might even be worse. And Bryce Young could be really, really bad. He is young, but he could actually be really bad. So I don't know how do you really approach this? Because like I said, we're trying to break down this game, and like they just looked so good last week. It's like, holy shit, like the Saints are world beaters. But again, they were playing the Carolina Panthers. So Derek Carr had pretty much statistically the best week in the NFL. He went 19 for 23, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's only sacked once, so he was not under pressure. So like you said, Cowboy Reg, the Dallas Cowboys need to put him under pressure. There was a play where he was there in the red zone and he danced around for like 5 seconds and threw a ball to a tight end in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. So like he had so much time that he was really never under pressure. That was the only time he ever got hit during the game. So, I mean, he just looked dominant, man. And then it's hard to say, but the defense looked good too.
Happen. They're not going to give
it's not going to happen.
You're not going to get 5 seconds with our guys. No.
The defense had 2 picks. They had a fumble recovery. They had 5 sacks. They held the Panthers to 10 points and only 3 points in the first half. So the defense looked dominant too. The offense could do whatever they wanted, and the defense could do whatever they wanted. I mean, this is like playing a warm-up game. It's like playing second stringers in a preseason game. Like, this isn't a show to bash the Carolina Panthers, but they just looked awful. And the Saints look good, don't get me wrong, but like the Panthers look really, really bad. So 47-10.
We got to go to Carolina this year, so we don't need to give them any motivation. They going to be just fine.
I think I wouldn't mind giving them some motivation because it's just hard to watch. It is hard to watch.
That was a bad play.
Yeah, it was a bad performance, and like Bryce Young looked terrible, and this is what we'll see after what the Saints can do next week with the Cowboys. But he went 13 for 30, 161 yards, 2 picks, 4 sacks.
Yeah.
Quarterback rating of 12.3. 12.3, man.
That's rough.
Scary. It's just like they got to be freaking out because I know he might not have people to throw to, whatever you want to say there, but like he doesn't have much of an offensive line, but just really rough. And he ran the ball 4 times for 12 yards. It's just like he did have one rushing touchdown though, so give him his props there. But it was scary times in Carolina. I don't know when that team's going to turn around, but it's not going to be this year.
Well, hopefully after we play them.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's much to worry about.
Yeah.
Playing the NFC South this year is, I think, a good thing for sure.
That's a good
The Falcons did not look good last week, but I think the Saints in Tampa Bay are going to be tough games. The games that the Cowboys should win, but they're going to be tough games. So,
Saints too. Hey, shout out to Cheesehead Weekly over there for loving a good Eagles roast. You got to give him a shout out. Brian Ragu, who's I think affiliated with them, he has a great podcast, which I will be on in November on Brian Ragu's Packers podcast, and gonna go over there with the tail between my legs, talking about last year's playoff game. No, we're not. We're going to be talking about, hopefully at that point, Brian, the Cowboys will have a better record than Green Bay. We'll talk about that. That will be nice. But we'll see what happens. But shout out to those guys for stopping in, tapping in, and saying hi. We appreciate you watching.
Yeah, thanks so much. Fortunately, we're getting a ton of comments in here, so I'm sorry if I missed any. I'm trying to get to them. Yeah, but
that's good.
I think
that's
also when you guys throw in comments, I think it goes by your time. So like it's all messy in here. I don't think they come in all at once. I don't know if that makes sense. Like because I got I got comments from 6:50 and then I got comments from 5:30, which I know is not right. So anyway, no excuses. Make a play. But so hopefully we got to everybody. But if you do have comments, feel free to throw them in there. So let's talk about the strengths of this New Orleans Saints team going off of last year and last week. I would say kind of going into the year, I would say they're pretty middle of the pack, average on both sides of the ball, stronger defense than I would say offensively. But you look at last week, I mean, the offense looks explosive, and so did the defense. They got 3 turnovers. They sacked Bryce Young 5 times, and then the offense looked great. Let's see here. Good secondary, specifically in the defense. That's their strong suit. So Paulson, Adebo, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Alante Taylor as cornerbacks. Kool-Aid McKinstry is a rookie, but Alante Taylor and Paulson Adebo, both great cornerbacks. And you have Tyrann Mathieu in the safety room, the Honey Badger, one of the best safeties in the game, and he's been in the league for about 10 years. So strong defense. Like I said, last year they were 8th in the NFL in points allowed and 13th in yards allowed. So it's pretty good. That's pretty good stats. I would say, if you are to exploit one side of the defensive, it's the front 7. Really not a lot of great linebackers, decent linebackers, but not great. So I think their defensive line and linebacker is probably the weakest part of their defense, and their secondary is the strongest part. So, definitely an opportunity to establish a run, like Cowboy Red said, and hopefully Dak can get good protection to kind of spread the ball around the field and maybe, get start some good success in the passing game. But other than that, defensively, that's kind of how they look. Offensively, as we said last week, last week wise, Derek Carr looked perfect, but he only threw for 200 yards, which isn't a ton, but he looked really well. He's efficient. They got a guy, Taysom Hill, like we already said. He plays tight end, quarterback, and halfback. And running back. Yeah, all right.
Which,
halfback.
I've called. I know I called for Trey Lance to do. That's the only thing I could see Trey Lance doing is doing what this guy does. But I don't know
special teams.
Yeah. Well.
So the last time the Cowboys played the Saints, Taysom Hill started at quarterback, and now he's a running back and tight end, wide receiver. So he can do it all, man. It's cool to see. He didn't have really a ton of production last week, but he's a threat. He's a big threat because you got a guy that can go in the back. Yeah, you go in the backfield and run the ball. He can line up at tight end. He can line up in the slot. And one of the biggest things here is watch out for trick plays at Taysom Hill, because this is a guy that has literally started games in the NFL as a quarterback. And when he's on offense, you have to account for him because you never know. I don't really think they brought him in too much at quarterback last week. I don't know if they did at all. Not that I saw, at least in the first half. But like I said, this is a guy that used to rotate in and out with Derek Carr. So watch out for him, especially when they're both on the field. You got to be careful with some trick plays. Rashid Shaheed with really good, looked good last week. He had a long 59-yard touchdown. He ended up going 3 for 73 last week. So that's really good production on 5 targets and a touchdown. He is also their punt and kick returner. So he had 1 kick return for 33 yards and 3 punt returns for 60 yards. One of them was 47 yards. So definitely a dangerous returner. He's extremely fast. He's another guy to watch out for. Derek Carr really likes throwing it to his tight ends as well. Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau are another guys that are pretty good. Moreau went 4 for 43 last week with a touchdown, and Jamal Williams went 1 for 13. Or Jawan Johnson, I'm sorry, went 2 for 26 with 1 touchdown. So Derek Carr likes throwing to his tight ends. So that's some other guys to look out for. Chris Olave, I would say, is wide receiver 1. Didn't really have any production last week. He was pretty much shut down. He went 2 for 11.
He's on my fantasy team, so of course he just did nothing in a blowout win. He does absolutely nothing.
Yeah. So that's kind of surprising.
I'll start him again, so he'll do nothing in this game, and we'll win. See, that's some of that reverse psychology that our boy Seth had at the start of the show. That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. So again, he is a threat for sure, Chris Olave, but he'll be, Trayvon Diggs will be on him, and hopefully we'll look to shut down. I don't know exactly what happened. Maybe just other guys were so open that they didn't throw to him. But if Carolina was able to shut down Olave, maybe we can as well. But definitely be careful for Rashid Shaheed. I would say he is the number 1 threat on this offense right now, based upon what he did last week. And I would assume that Kalen Carson will line up with him. So we will see. Anything else, Cowboy Reg, you think is a good strength of this? I forgot to mention Alvin Kamara, the running back. He's been around for a long time. At sometimes he was formerly one of the best running backs in the entire league. Not so much anymore, but definitely still a good threat, a good tool to have on offense. But any other, like I said, well, we'll see. I don't know whether Carson will be on Olave or Shaheed will be on Diggs. That's what PFF has it as. But either way, watch out for that. I would think I would prefer that. But we will see. Any other strengths this New Orleans team that scares you? You said that you like the defense, but anything else that jumps off the page for you, Cowboy Reg?
I mean, I really think that we can shut them down with our defense. I'm not concerned with their offense, even though they had a big week last week, like you said. I mean, look at the Carolina Panthers. You can't name a weapon on their offense, and then their number 1. I think the first running back taken in the draft, Jonathan Brooks, and he's on injured reserve for the first 3 weeks, or commissioner's list, or whatever. He's hurt. So, that's the guy they want carrying the rock for the future, in the future, meaning now, and so on, for the years to come. They want Jonathan Brooks carrying the ball, and he's not playing, and he hasn't played yet. He's going to be out, I believe, the first 3 weeks. So I'm not worried about their offense. I'm worried about our offense against their defense. That's what concerns me. And I think it's just a matter of the correct game plan. If we have the right game plan, keep it a little conservative at first, and let your defense create a turnover or get them backed up where you get a punt to Kavontae Turpin, and he puts you in a nice red zone area to start a drive. And I think we can get a couple scores up and then just kind of cruise. And win that ugly game. That's how I see this going down. I am concerned with their defense.
For sure, yeah. And I would say on offense, that's the biggest thing is being able to get to Derek Carr. He had a ton of time last week, but
I think we will.
Did struggle. Yeah, he did struggle a little bit last year. It just looked okay last year. We need another good performance out of the linebackers. If they can stop the run and just take out the run game and get into some 3rd and longs, like that's what we're looking for there. Maybe press Derek Carr, make him make some mistakes. So that's the goal. Another thing is they're also starting a rookie left tackle. They took Talise Fuagu in round 1 out of Oregon State. So he had a decent game last week, but he was playing the Panthers. So I would say exploiting that left side of the line, because they have him at left tackle and then Lucas Patrick at left guard. Not really one of the top left guards in the league. And they have a solid right side. Eric McCoy at center is one of the best, if not the best center in the league right now. And they're solid at right guard and right tackle. So I would say being able to exploit that left side of the line. We saw D-Law and Parsons kind of switch it up last week, play at different positions. I think that's a good thing to do for this matchup as well. But overall, man, it's pretty simple. You get to the quarterback, you're going to have good success, and I think the Cowboys have a good chance of doing that. Other weaknesses there, like I said, establishing the run would be huge. The New Orleans defense is good, but being able, they were, like I said, 25th in the NFL last year in rushing yards allowed. So I think this is a good defense to build the run on. If Rico can get involved, Zeke, maybe we see Deuce Vaughn a little bit. CeeDee Lamb, again, use him in the run game, maybe even Kevontae Turpin, all ways to kind of spread out this defense. And then you could get Dak in some play action, maybe get some man coverage in the secondary, even though the New Orleans Saints have a great secondary. Kind of stretching them out by establishing the run could be good to exploit some of them in the backfield and maybe get some plays down the field. But what are overall, Cowboy Reg, what would you say the keys to the game?
I
know
number
you've
one,
kind of mentioned it, but
yeah, I think we have to run the ball better than we did last week. Our overall statistics last week running the ball weren't horrible when you put it all together, but our best runner last week was CeeDee Lamb. So, our main backs have to do a little bit better than 4.0 yards a carry, but that was against the Cleveland Browns defense. So we can improve on that this week. I want to see the tight ends involved, and that brings up a huge issue with Ferguson. Looks like he's doubtful. He's probably not going to play, and that's no panic in Dallas because, their second draft pick or one of their top draft picks was Luke Schoonmaker last year. He went into training camp hurt, wasn't able to play. He came in the season, coming off an injury, and he never really got it going. So it's time for him to show why the Cowboys drafted him so high, and he needs to come out there and take Fergie's place and do something. And he needs to get 40 yards and maybe a touchdown and pick up some edge rushers and some run blocks. He's going to have to step up. I think you were high and got me on Spanford, and I think you might see him on the field. And he looked great. I know that was your guy in the preseason, and you got me to get him on my radar, and I was very impressed. So, whenever a guy like that is hurt, one of your stars like Ferguson, it is an opportunity to see what kind of depth you have, and for these other guys to show that they're worth where they were drafted and worth putting on the roster. So the tight ends, I don't think they're going to change the game either way. We're not talking about Gronkowski or Travis Kelce here. We're talking about the tight ends just being productive and doing their job. So I'd like to see the other tight ends step up. I'd like to see Ferguson sit out. And I don't even care if he says he's good to go and he's able to run routes without pads on.
It's not worth it.
His knee will take a hit. We know there's a bounty over in the New Orleans, so they'll hit him in the knee. Oh, wait, they don't do that anymore, right? They don't. Is that?
I forgot about that. Oh man, that's. Oh, they killed Brett Favre. They killed Brett Favre.
How much is Fergie's knee worth down there in the Bayou? Fergie's knee might
I have to find out. I gotta do some research tonight. Man, I forgot about that. That was crazy. They literally killed Brett Favre when he was with the Vikings. They killed him. They murdered him. And he's a Bayou guy. He grew up in Mississippi. He's a South Mississippi guy, and they killed him. Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, that is a concern, Cowboy Reg. And the concerning part for me, and I just had to double check, but other than Jake Ferguson, no tight end had a catch last week. I guess if you want to include Hunter Luepke, that's another guy that he kind of step into the tight end role, but no catches from Schoonmaker, no targets to Schoonmaker, and no catches or targets to Brevin Spanford. They were on the field, they just never.
That wasn't the game plan, though. They didn't go to Fergie, but 4 times maybe? I mean, that just wasn't.
Yeah, he had 5 targets, 3 catches, and 15 yards. He really wasn't that big of a factor.
So it wasn't like
I play ignoring. And that's tough for your fantasy team at the Fergalicious fantasy team.
Well,
you started him last week, right?
Yeah, and I had to go pick up a tight end this week, but
Yeah, it's tough.
I'm counting on him resting, and I'm hoping he rests. Like I said, I mean he can run around and practice and work the bands and run routes and convince everybody that he's good. But when you get hit in the knee again, you got a bone bruise, dude. You got a bone bruise, and a sprained MCL, was it the sprain in the knee and
Yeah.
minor, grade 1 or whatever is the lowest grade. And you might feel good, but can I punch you in the knee and you're going to walk away no problem? No. One of these guys come flying in 250, 300 pounds and hit his knee. Now he's out 6 weeks. Forget about it. Let's sit this week. We're at home. Cowboys haven't lost at home in a couple of years except for a playoff game. Packers, thank you. So sit him, let him rest, and let's see what these guys got. And if they don't have it, we'll get the ball over to Lutke like we did last week. He can play fullback. He can play tight end. He can play running back. He can block. That's why McCarthy loves that fullback. They had that guy Kuhn in Green Bay, right? I can't remember his first name. Might have been like Matt Kuhn or something like that. These Packers guys will tell me.
Sounds right. I don't know.
McCarthy loves him he loves a fullback. McCarthy loves that. So I think he's been waiting for an opportunity to show what he could do with a fullback. You saw it a little bit last week. You said he had a couple catches, right? Hunter Lutke.
Yeah, he
probably
did.
He's
so
gonna
I expect him to be involved.
Yeah, you have a big role. And when you have Lutke and Schoonmaker out there, that's a lot of beef. Those are two big boys. Now all of a sudden you maybe can run the ball. You know what I'm talking about. We can run the ball with those two boys on the field with our line. So it may not be a horrible thing having Fergie out for a week. Let him get healthy, and let's run a little bit more of a power game plan with these big guys and see what we can do. Because you know what? You're going to need that kind of game in the playoffs. That's the kind of game that wins in the playoffs. So let's see what we got with these boys.
Yeah, 100% Cowboy Reg. I think you nailed it. My keys to the game here is establish your run. I'm going to take a page out of Cowboy Reg's book. Run the damn ball, baby. Old school football, power football, baby. Line up in the I formation. But yeah, seriously.
Put three back.
Yeah, put three of them. But Lukey, let him play real fullback, baby. Come on, what are you doing? Run the wishbone, triple option. Who cares? I love it. I watched it for 5 years.
Hey,
I'm all about that triple option,
put
baby.
CD back there. You got CD, you got Zeke, and you got Lukey in the backfield. That'll work.
Run it.
Run it.
Run it, baby. I don't know how much I would pay so much money to see the Cowboys run triple option for a game.
At the same time, you're going to line up Trey Lance as quarterback for that play, right? So now you got 4 guys that might get the ball.
Let's go.
Think about it.
100%. Wishbone. I want to run the wishbone, baby. No, but seriously, establishing the run would be huge because, like I said, great secondary of New Orleans, but you exploit them in their front 7. That's where they're weak. And establishing the run, whether it be Rico, I expect Rico to get more touches. Hopefully, he has a good game. Zeke looked good last week. Continue to improve and look good. Maybe some touches from Deuce Vaughn, running back committee. We all know this, but establishing the run would be huge. Get in second and shorts, third and short situation, run play action. That's your opportunity to get to catch New Orleans off guard and maybe get some long plays. CeeDee Lamb is a key to the game for me. I would like to see him get involved more. In all the Cowboys drives against the Browns, they were utilizing CD a lot, but then he kind of went quiet. I mean, he didn't really have a huge stat line last week, so I would really like to see him. He only went 5 for 61 on 10 targets, so he looked good at the beginning of the game, but I look to him to have a big game. That would really help us out a lot because missing that tight end piece. But I would love to see a tight end step up. But that all starts with establishing the run. If you end up in second and third and long, and you want to pass on this elite New Orleans Saints secondary, we might have some problems, and that's not how we're going to win this game. That's when I'm going to start to get nervous. If the run game doesn't work, I'm going to start to get a little nervous. So we need to get that run game going. Defensively, get to Derek Carr, like we said, put that pressure on him, and don't allow big plays. They had some big plays last week. He had a 59-yard touchdown to Rashid Shaheed. I don't want to see that happen because, first of all, Rashid Shaheed is a tough name to say. A lot of SHs in the first and last name. So I don't want to talk about him in the post-game show. So shut him down, please. But that's the one thing I worry about with the Saints offense. I think even if they do move the ball downfield a little bit, like put them in scenarios where you can end up only having them kick a field goal. If they're going to score, make them put a full drive together. I think that's the key to stopping this New Orleans offense. Don't allow big plays to Rashid Shaheed. Don't allow Chris Olave to get hot. Watch out for Taysom Hill. No trick plays. They might try something this week, and I would hate to see that happen. So Shaheed is your speed threat. And again, you got a guy in Taysom Hill that can come in, and him and Derek Carr can be on the field at the same time. And they're both technically quarterbacks. I would hate to see any trick plays involved with Taysom Hill. So stop that shit right away. Don't let it happen. No ticky-tacky shit here. Defense looked great last week. Hopefully we get some turnovers. The one thing we didn't have last week was strip sack. So I love a strip sack. You know how I love it. Our boy Joe Earl loves a strip sack as well. So
gotta love it. You gotta love a strip sack.
Love a strip sack. So let's get some of those. But defense show up, offense establish a run, and then get CeeDee Lamb involved. Even though this is a tough New Orleans defense, they're not unbeatable. They're not as good as the Cleveland Browns. So that's the thing. You're at home, you're comfortable. Yeah. Let's open up the playbook a little bit. Let's score some damn points. Injury report real quick. We already kind of hit on it. The biggest news out of Cowboys camp is Jake Ferguson is doubtful. He did not participate all week in practice. Brandon Cooks is good. CJ Goodwin's good. Kendricks is good. Marshawn Nealon, good to go. D-Law showed up on the injury report. He's good. Zach Martin. These are just old timers on here. So they don't practice, but they're veterans. They'll be fine.
They get off till Wednesday. If you're over 30, you don't practice till Wednesday.
The only person listed as out is John Stevens, our tight end. So again, we only have Schoonmaker, Brevin Spanford, and potentially Hunter Lukey that can be used in the tight end room. So that's a little tough. So John Stevens is out. I would say Jake Ferguson will not play in this game.
But I mean, I think Stevens would be the last guy you put out there anyways. So that's only a factor if one of those other guys get hurt. So no big deal. But what if one of them goes down? Really, like you said, where else do you go with tight end? Then Lukey's playing tight end. He's the guy.
It's tough.
All of a sudden with Spanford.
Yeah, it's not like we got a guy in the wide receiver room that can play tight end. Scooty's got to show up. Yep. But luckily, this is why you have a guy like Hunter Lukey on the team, man, because he can be utilized in the tight end room.
Yep.
But it's not bad. I mean, other than that, we're looking pretty healthy after week 1. Saints, on the other hand, DeMarco Jackson, linebacker, he is out. Jalen Ford, linebacker, is questionable. Isaiah Foskey, our boy out of Notre Dame, defensive end, he is questionable.
Foskey.
Fosky.
Oh, I love that guy. He's awesome.
Yeah, he was a beast, man. But he's questionable to play.
Oh, questionable? Yeah, he'll play.
He did not participate. He did not participate in Friday's practice. He's questionable.
Talise
Fuaga, their rookie left tackle, is also questionable. He did not participate in Friday practice as well.
That's
so
not good.
Look out for that. You're starting a rookie left tackle, and he might not play. So again, exploit that left side of the offensive line. Marshawn Lattimore, I don't think I mentioned him, but I should have. A veteran, solid cornerback. He is questionable. Did not participate with a hip hamstring injury. Did not participate in any practice this week. So watch out for that. Brian Breezy, defensive tackle. He is questionable with an illness. He did not participate in Friday practice. Kalen Saunders, defensive tackle, is out for this game. So again, exploit that front seven. Not only is that the weak part of their team, they're also questionable with a lot of injuries.
So banged up there.
We got 2 linebackers on the board. One linebacker, DeMarco Jackson, is out. Jalen Ford is questionable. Jalen Ford will play for sure.
Yeah.
But you got Brian Breezy, did not participate on Friday, and then Kalen Saunders is out. So like I said, man, run game if this is a game to cook, this is the game. So let's see that run game get involved. Let's see Zeke get some touches. Let Zeke eat and let Rico cook, baby.
They all got to eat.
So that is your Sons of the Star injury report for Sunday. Let's talk about gambling. Why don't we? A little gambling corner here. Before we make our final picks for this Cowboys game. This game right now is a
6, I thought.
It should be 6. I just want to double check. It is a 6-point line. The over-under is set at 46.5. So that would mean the Cowboys are expecting to win about 27 to 20, kind of that type of score.
Yeah.
So over-under 46.5. Dallas is 6-point favorites. I think it opened at 6.5 and it's moved to 6, which is not really a huge deal. Cowboys money line is minus 275. New Orleans money line is 225. I think a lot of people are putting their money on New Orleans to cover the spread, but definitely not picking them to win. Because that's a big spread in the NFL. 6 points is a big spread, but tricky. What would you say, Cowboy Reg? Are you comfortable with this spread for if we got any betters out there? Or I think if it's 6, if you can get it at 6, that's not so bad. 6.5, I think, is too much. The over-under, though, 46.5. How do you feel about that over-under?
I think it's going to be under, but I think the
Okay.
Cowboys cover. I'm looking at a 27-10 game, and the Saints get a garbage touchdown, 27-17, which puts them just 2 points under, and the Cowboys win by 10. The only way that we don't comfortably win this game is if we try to press the passing game too much. And I don't think McCarthy's going to do that. I think he might have learned his lesson in Green Bay. You saw how they came out in Cleveland. They didn't come out throwing the ball 30 yards downfield. They punted a couple times and played defense and did what they had to do. And then just started getting it going from there. So I think they're going to do that again. I think CD will be a little bit more involved. But yeah, if I'm a gambler, I'm going to go under. I don't think it'll be I don't see the Saints scoring a lot of points on the Cowboys defense. That's where I'm at with that. I don't see us scoring 30, but I don't see them scoring, 20 points. Honestly, 17 is where I got them. So let's go under and Cowboys cover.
I love it. Yeah, man, I'm not sure. I don't know how to bet this game. I wouldn't bet this game, honestly. I don't like the spread. I don't like the over-under. Money line is just there's no value there. Minus 275 is just too big. And then to bet on New Orleans, you're going to get great odds, but I don't like them winning this game. I would look at some, if you are a better for this game, I haven't looked at all the props, but I would look at some prop bets. I'd take CD Lamb probably to score a touchdown this game. I'd also look at total touchdowns for Rico Dowell. Maybe get him on a touchdown. I like that bet. And other than that, I mean, I would look at maybe some props when it comes to New Orleans turnovers. Derek Carr interceptions, wherever that's at. If it's 0.5 or usually those come out at 0.5.
Add a strip sack.
Strip sack.
We're going to get a strip sack.
You get a strip sack.
That's
I like that.
Joe Earl special.
Let's go, baby. But yeah, betting wise, this is kind of a tough game. I don't like it. I would look at prop bets if you're going to bet this game. But yeah, matchup predictor ESPN has the Cowboys at a 60.8% chance to win this game. So we are going to pick this game and then pick the rest of the NFL, Cowboy Red. So I know you might have already said it, but maybe not officially. What is your prediction for this game? Final prediction.
27-17 Cowboys.
All right, let's do it. Dallas, Cowboy Reg has it. You said 27-17.
Yep.
Okay. I got the Cowboys as well. I got the Cowboys 27 as well, but I got them winning this game 27-24. I'm not confident in that, but here's what I think will happen. I think the Cowboys are up 27-17 really late in the game. The Saints are able to get the ball again and maybe go down the – I think this can go two ways. I've said this before. I think I actually said this about the Packers game now that I'm thinking about it, so be careful with this prediction. But Cowboys are up 10. The Saints get the ball late in the game, and they can either score a touchdown or maybe they just kick a field goal. So I can see this game either being 27-20 or 27-24. That makes sense, I know, but I know that I said that about the Packers game now that I think about it, so it makes me a little nervous. But yeah, I got the Cowboys winning this game. I think it's a big spread. I never like these biggest spreads in the NFL. 27-24 sounds close. I'm not predicting a last-second Brandon Aubrey kick. I think the Cowboys win this game. I think it's tight in the first half, and I think they pull away in the third quarter into the fourth quarter. They're up big, 10 points late, and like you said, Cowboy Reg, I think the the Saints score a garbage time touchdown. So that's my
Yeah,
feeling.
we're on the same page. We're just missing one score. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be 27-10 when that happens. You think it's going to be 27-17 when it happens? Yeah, that's
sure.
fine. So, but the difference is if you're betting, you're saying they beat the Saints will beat the spread, and I'm saying the Cowboys cover. So we're saying two different things gambling wise.
Exactly. But I think the Cowboys, we're both, like you said, we're both saying that the Cowboys win this game comfortably. So that's the Sons of Star pick. We are both 1-0 when it comes to Cowboys. Before we get into NFL game picks this week, I wanted to let you guys know that we are tied after week 1. We both picked 12 correct games last week and 4 losses. We're both 12-4 last
Not
week.
bad.
So getting into week 2,
if there was 17 games, we would be 12-5, just like the Cowboys every year.
Let's go.
12-5.
Yeah,
we're the Mike McCarthy of picks.
Oh man, don't put us in that same category, man. Don't do that.
I'm good with 12-4. I'm good with that.
Oh man. All right. Well, if I can get this correctly pulled up here, let's get into some. Oh shoot! I just opened up Hulu.
Now it's important to note that we texted each other last night before the game, and I picked the Bills, and I believe, did you not pick the Dolphins?
I did, yeah. So that since we are a Friday show, but we had a gentleman's agreement to pick the game last week before we made our picks. So you are.
I'm just gonna run the ball from here on out. I'm running the ball, and I'm sitting on that lead, 1-0, baby.
Definitely. So, all right, we got. We already picked the Cowboys game. We already picked the Bills Miami game. Let's go with Tampa Bay, a playoff rematch. Tampa Bay is going into Detroit. Detroit is 7.5-point favorites in this game. Hammer Tampa Bay, hammer Baker. If I'm betting this weekend, which I probably will, I think I'm taking Tampa on that spread. But I'm going to pick the Lions to win. How about you, Cowboy Reg?
I'm going to give you a fighting chance. Cowboy Reg upset of the week. He bakes in Detroit.
Oh,
I believe
wow.
the Lions
Okay. Holy
I
cow.
believe that they're riding so high, and it almost bit them in the butt last week. They're riding so high, and nobody held them accountable for what happened last week. They could have lost that game, and everybody's riding high and telling them how good they are. We know how that works out. That was
a tight game,
well.
an overtime game.
Yeah.
So it was tight. It was tight.
That does never work out well. And guess who wants revenge? Who knocked Tampa out of the playoffs last year? That was Detroit. Where was that game at? Detroit. So who's got a bigger motivation to win that game? Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. I'm taking them straight up. I'm picking the upset of the week.
Cow. Okay.
Upset of the week.
That's huge, man. All right. Indy going into Green Bay. Indy is a 3-point favorite. Green Bay will be without Jordan Love.
Is he out? Definitely out. Or is he? At last I heard he was just questionable, not even doubtful. Last I saw.
Oh, come on, man! No way.
I'm serious.
Really?
Yeah, he's not been ruled out, but I think they're worse off if they play him because
questionable.
Even worse than Ferguson. His knee looked bad.
That does bad. Yeah, I don't like that. So I'm going Colts regardless.
Yeah, I have to as well. I think I still, I picked Green Bay to go to the Super Bowl this year. I believe in that team, but that team revolves around Jordan Love. And now there's a problem. There's a problem because they go 0-2. There's only been one team to ever go 0-2 and win the Super Bowl, and they had Emmitt Smith in the backfield after a holdout. And I don't see that happening here with a young quarterback. They cannot go 0-2. They might rush him back out there, and that could be disastrous. So my advice to Green Bay is to just play Willis and run the ball and hope for the best. But that doesn't sound like a good game plan. I'm picking Indy.
Wow. Hey, no. Sorry, I got dog barking. Dog bark. Woo. Colts. Yeah, let's go. She wants on the show. All right. New York at Tennessee. The Jets are 3.5-point favorites.
I don't believe in the Jets. I don't believe in them one bit, but I have to pick them in this game. I have to because I just Tennessee, they looked good last week. And Pollard looked good.
Yeah, I
Man,
did.
but I just
I got
can't
him
see
on
the
fantasy.
I put my tinfoil hat on, but I can't see the NFL allowing Aaron Rodgers to start 0-2, right? I mean, now all of a sudden their coach is in the hot seat and everybody's talking about Rodgers is washed and it's bad. The New York media will just hammer them, right? So something weird's going to happen. Call it a conspiracy. The Jets are going to squeak that game out. It might be ugly, but the NFL cannot have the Jets at 0-2. They've got the Jets on every promo poster, every commercial. Come on, they can't let them go 0-2, right? So I'm gonna pick the Jets.
Man, I saw it. I was believing in the Jets a little bit, and I saw them get exploited by a backup running back in San Francisco. McCaffrey was out, and they got exploited. I think Tony Pollard. I cannot wait to start him this week in fantasy because he's going to go off.
Okay.
Tennessee, they lost a tight game in Chicago. Didn't look great, but a game they should have won. Their coach is pissed off. He in the media said that they should have just went out and punted every play. Expect Will Levis to have a big bounce back. Titans win this game. San Francisco at Minnesota. San Francisco is only a 4.5-point favorite. Minnesota is coming off a win in New York. I got SF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a slam dunk. They didn't miss McCaffrey at all.
I like spread.
If you take that guy, what was his name? Mason? If you just switch his name to McCaffrey and look at the stats, you'd be like, yeah, that's our guy. That's what he does. And that's what he did. So no, they don't miss a beat.
Seattle at New England. Seattle's a 3-point favorite.
And I don't believe in either one of these teams. They're both 1-0, and I don't see either one of them being in the playoffs. So this one's a toss-up, but remind me who did New England upset last week? That was
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. So I gotta say, New England's at home. Seattle does not play well on the road, and they never lose at home. They had seasons where they were 8-8, and they're like 8-0 at home and 0-8 on the road. That's the type of team they've been for a long time because they're home field advantage. So I'm going to go New England, and then don't get on the New England bandwagon because they're 2-0. But one of these teams is going to be 2-0. I'm going to go with the home team.
Okay, I like. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I think Seattle. Yeah, man, it's tough. But I'm not buying into New England hype. I'm taking Seattle. I think they're a better team overall, but this is going to be an ugly game.
Yeah.
New York garbage can game of the week here. Toilet Bowl. New York at Washington. Washington's a 1.5-point favorite.
This isn't the game in Germany, is it? There's one coming.
No, they're playing this. They're playing at FedEx Field.
Okay. Well, yeah, the Commanders are going to win that game, and I mean, I hope it's not on TV for any of your sake out there in viewing this podcast right now. I hope it's not on your TV because it's not a game to watch. Commanders in, I don't know, 16-15 or something stupid.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad for sure. I like I guess the Commanders as well. It's so hard to tell. New York just looked so bad last week. Washington had some flashes. I saw Jaden Daniels had some highlights, but like they got their asses kicked in Tampa Bay. But yeah, I guess Washington. Who knows? They both look terrible. LA at Carolina. LA's a 5-point favorite. Sorry, Chargers. LA Chargers.
The Chargers.
Chargers. I know. They get me every week.
I've mentioned this on the show before. Hometown Puna Ford grew up right here on the island where I live, Hilton Head Island. He's our hometown hero, and I know his father here on the island. And I'll tell you what, he had the interception. He had caught a tipped ball in the fourth quarter, and to secure that win last week. So I'm high on the Chargers right now. I'm not only cheering for them, but they looked good. Not a big Harbaugh fan, but I know he gets the job done. So I'm going to go with the Chargers in this one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I think LA Chargers should win this game. They should cover that 5-point spread. Well, I don't know. They didn't
I don't know
look
about the spread,
great.
but I'm gonna take them to win.
Yeah, but they're gonna win. They're gonna win. Cleveland at Jacksonville. I would say this is potentially two 0-1 teams, but maybe the biggest matchup of the week because, in my opinion, these are two teams in the AFC that are expecting to make the playoffs this year. And like you said, Cowboy Ridge, you never want to start the year 0-2. Jacksonville's a 3-point favorite at home. Who you got?
All I can tell you is I feel extremely sorry for the quarterback that loses this game because the local media and the local fan bases are immediately going to call for your benching. And they're going to call for your benching hard. It's not going to be a joke. It's going to be for real. Hate to lose this game if I'm Deshaun Watson. Trevor Lawrence may have a little bit more leverage than Deshaun on this because he's played pretty well the last couple of years. Last year was questionable. Deshaun has to win this game. This is a must win for Cleveland. I think Jacksonville can recover from this and be a wild card team like everybody would project them to be, nothing more than that. I got to take Cleveland in this. Because I think it's the end of the road if he loses this game. I think I don't know where they go from here. I honestly don't. If they lose this game, the Browns they're in big trouble. So I'm going to pick them to somehow squeak this game out.
Yeah, I got the Browns as well. I think you're right. I think they need to win this game, and I think they're just a really great defense. They're going to kind of lead them to an ugly win. Vegas at Baltimore. I would go Ravens. How about you? I mean, they're 9-point favorites. I think they'll even cover that spread. There's no question.
Yeah,
You
that
got
might
Ravens.
that might be the lock of the week right there.
That's my pick. I'm probably going to take them on my pick 'em or my Survivor League. I mean, LA Rams at Arizona. Arizona's a 1-point favorite, actually. That's interesting. They looked good against the Bills last week on the road, but I got LA.
Yeah, the Rams aren't going 0-2, right? I mean, they just went in
Come
overtime.
on, man. Yeah.
Everybody's Super Bowl favorite, Detroit Lions, everybody's darling right now in the media and on ESPN. They go to overtime.
I think Puka Nacua
must
might
be
be
good.
out, I think, but I still like.
Yeah, the Rams, they can't be. I mean, they're too good to be 0-2, right? Oh, they're too good to be 0-2. So hey, you got a Ravens fan that just
Cozy
popped
Bryant
in.
says goes Bird.
He's a Ravens
Bird.
fan. He said go
Sorry.
Birds. No, he's
something like that.
Hey, Cozy, man, he's all right. I like Cozy's page. I like his content. So Cozy, thanks for stopping by. We'll be seeing you in a few weeks, and near the end of the year, as we know, Eagles and Cowboys will be playing for the NFC East, and the other two teams will be watching us play for the NFC East. So see you soon, Cozy. Don't get too cozy because we got a couple guys coming for Hurts, and they can pass rush pretty well.
Absolutely. All right. Pittsburgh at Denver. Pittsburgh's 2.5-point favorite after a very ugly win in Atlanta, but they got it done. Nothing but field goals, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, I called that Pittsburgh in Atlanta, didn't I? I told you the terrible towels would be out big, too.
Oh, big time.
So who you picking in that one?
Oh, man. I don't know if Russell's going to start.
Yeah, I'm torn on this.
I would imagine he would. This is a tough game. I got this. I got the Steelers, man. I think they'll win. I mean, this is going to be very ugly.
Yeah,
he thinks Pittsburgh will beat the Broncos.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, Cozy's on it. I think Pittsburgh. I mean, I think with Russell out, I think they're a better team. I really do. But I don't think they're an elite team that can do anything in the playoffs because they won't have production on offense. But they can win games against, poor teams. And I think that's what you'll see this week. I think the Steelers will be that paper tiger at 2-0. And that Sunday night game with Cowboys in week 5, I believe.
Yeah, week 5.
Somewhere in there. We're going to expose them. But for now, let them get a couple wins. And Cozy and his boys will have to be arguing with all them Steelers fans about they're 2-0 and the Eagles are 2-0. And they'll be saying we're better than you. And yeah, Cozy knows what I'm talking about. It's coming. The Steelers are going to win that game.
All right. Yeah, I think so too. Cincinnati at Kansas City. Kansas City 6-point favorites. You are picking the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, you got to pick the Chiefs there. And I'm a big Joe Burrow fan, but until his hair grows back to the correct color, they're going to keep losing. That was it. He jinxed himself with the hairdo.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I know they say that, you can't go 0-2 and make the playoffs. The one team that's done it is Cincinnati. They
Oh, they
lost
can
a
make
game
the
they shouldn't have
playoffs.
last week. Yeah, they can make the playoffs. They lost a game they shouldn't have last
Yeah,
week, and they're a team that is really weird, and I think they're a team that wins this game. This is my upset of the week. I'm going with the Bengals. I think
well, I mean,
they've shown that they can beat KC before, and
he
look,
isn't he the
I
only
was
one with a
I ex
yeah, he's got the winning record against Mahomes. It's not a horrible
yeah.
pick.
Kansas City, or I'm sorry, Cincinnati is a weird team, and they're
Yeah,
they're really weird. And I wasn't that surprised they lost that game last week because it's very Bengals like. And in this game is a Bengals like win. When everyone is counting
yeah,
them out, Joe Burrow comes out. Everyone's talking about his wrist, blah blah blah. You got all these issues with Jamar Chase. Um, Cozy Bryant says Bengals have regressed. That may be true, and the mainstream media is writing them off, and they say they're done. But I expect Joe Burrow to come back and get a win in Kansas City. That's my upset of the week. All right,
yeah.
Chicago at Houston Sunday night football. Houston is a 6.5 point favorite. No T Higgins again. Yeah, that's true. T
Houston
Higgins
should
is
be
out.
Houston's a 6.5. They should be 16.5. Slam dunk, Houston.
Yeah, Houston win this game. Caleb Williams looked awful. Houston looked pretty strong last week. Won a good tough game in Indy last week. So that game was in Indy or was in Houston?
Yeah, it
I
was in
can't
Indy.
remember.
That's why
Yeah,
it's
so
that's why Houston's going to lose at home after beating a
no, they're
good
not
team
losing at home
on
to
the
the
road.
Bears. I think that's a pretty safe bet, six and a
Yeah,
half. The Bears got to win, but they got to win, and their defense looked good, which is a positive sign. Caleb didn't. He might try to press it a little bit more in this game, and I think maybe get some turnovers. But the Houston offense looks pretty solid. They might be really, really tough this year. So I'm
yeah.
taking Houston. All right, Monday Night Football, Atlanta at Philly. Philly is a 6.5 point favorite. Cozy Bryant's going to want to hear our picks in this one. Yeah, I mean, I think Philly wins, and I think Philly will um, probably cover the spread at 6.5. Atlanta looked bad last week. Kurt looked bad. I think I don't know why people thought Atlanta would be good, but they did not look
No,
good. The only thing I'll say here is Jalen Hurts looked very shaky in that Green Bay game. So expect him to have a bounce back against a pretty bad team, and the Philly fans to get right back on the bandwagon, baby.
they're already on, as soon as they signed Saquon, they jumped on that wagon real quick. I don't think Saquon's going to have a huge game, but I think Hurts will because he needs to. And I agree with Cozy right there. I think the Eagles win by 10 plus. I don't think Atlanta can play on the grass in Philly, getting cussed at and spit on your way into the stadium. They're soft. They're a dome team. I don't see it. Kirk Cousins, whatever. Wait, no, what am I thinking here? Who's Atlanta? That Cousins now? That's Cousins, isn't it?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah,
You got it.
yeah. He's not going on the road on the grass. I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, if it was home in Atlanta, it could go either way, close game, maybe. But I think Philly handles them easily, probably win by more than 10, cover the spread.
Yeah, I don't expect that to be a great game. All right, well that's your picks for week 2 of the NFL. Um, Cozy Bryant's still in here. He knows that they're gonna kill him. I mean, the
Yeah.
poor Battle of the Birds, baby. Battle of the Birds. You gotta love it. The dirty birds. Who's dirtier? That's gonna be the determining factor of that game. All right. Well, we both got the Cowboys winning this game against the Saints. This should be a good one. Hey, a lot of people are writing in the Cowboys to win this game. This is gonna be a tough game. Don't let the big win in week 1. Don't let it be a letdown in week 2. We need to win this game. We got a tough week 3 matchup against the Ravens. Um,
Can't look
so it
ahead.
would be great for the Cowboys to win this game. Don't look ahead. Noon kickoff. I hope everyone's ready for this game. This should be a good one. I really hope they win. I'm living in Saints country. I can't deal with it if they lose. I'm going to see it everywhere. Will Dallas cover Ghost Warrior? We said that we had Reg had them covering. I did not. So we will see. But yeah, we
They're
will
going to cover. They cover.
they cover. All right. Well, we will be back after the Saints game on Sunday at noon. Let's go get a win, boys.
Hey,
Let's
Cozy's
go
got a good
Cowboys.
I like Cozy's pick right there, 32-14.
Cozy's got the Cowboys 32, Saints 14. He knows we're better than the Eagles.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to say it. You can
He
tell
ain't
us.
saying that. He ain't saying that.
All right, we'll see. But yeah, Cowboys and Eagles, I expect both be 2-0 by next week, and the battle for the NFC East continues on. But hopefully the Cowboys can get this win. And we will join you for post game, whether it be hell or high water. We'll be on here. So hopefully everyone has a great NFL weekend. And go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys. Thanks for tuning in,
All right.
guys.
We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.